Welcome back to another episode of Dilbert's Garage. Today we have this Nissan Altima. It's a 2011 2.5 liter, and we're going to be putting on new rotors and pads on all four wheels. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and crack all these 21 mil lug nuts loose, then jack the vehicle up, take both the wheels off up front. Now we're going to take this bolt and this bolt right down here out. They're two 14 mil bolts. After you remove those two 14 mil bolts, this you'll be able to slide straight off of there. It's alright if the pads stay. Just put this up here where that brake line will not be stretched any. I'm gonna get a piece of wire and tie it around up there. And there's one of our bolts, and the other one's probably, yep, right there. Next, we're gonna take a 22 mil socket and remove these two bolts here that hold this bracket that holds your caliper on, so we can take our rotor off. So now that we have the bracket that holds the caliper on off, we can take these two pads, pop them out of there, and take these and pop them out as well, and we're going to replace those with new ones. So now that we got the bracket out and the pads pulled out of there, we can take these metal brackets and pull them off, and then you come over here and the rotor just pulls straight off. There we go. So now we take our new rotor, line it up with our studs, place it on there. So if you'll notice with our clips, we have one clip that has these extra bits on the outsides, that one, and then one that doesn't. So this clip that doesn't have those bits on the outside, it goes into the bottom of the bracket that holds your caliper on, and the one that does goes straight to the top. So now with our bracket here, these plungers that go in and out, you want to take the rubber and peel it back off of there and pull these pins out of there. Make sure that they're nice and greased, and if they need grease, add grease. Alright, so now that we got these guys right here nice and greased up and they're sliding good in there, we're going to go ahead and take this bracket and reinstall it back on top of there like so, and then reinstall our caliper, put new pads in, grease them up, and this side will be done. So now we have this handy tool here that we're going to take, put inside of this caliper like so, and ratchet it out until this piston pushes closed over here. Like, not all the way tight unless we absolutely have to. Let's go ahead and do it. Alright, so you want to apply just a tiny bit of lube on the back of the pad here where the piston's going to hit, and on the other one as well. And I'm going to put just the ever so slight amount right inside of there where the pads will be sitting. So now we will take this caliper and bolt it back on to this bracket that holds it and allows it to float with these pins. It'll be two 14 mil bolts that go in here. And there it is. That's new pads and a new rotor on the front of a Nissan Altima 2011. Now we're going to show you the rear. So took the rear wheel off. We're going to take that 14 mil bolt out on top and on bottom, same as we did up front. And for this one, it's going to be a 19 mil instead of a 22 mil for the rear this time. Alright, so I found it easier to take the two bigger bolts here that hold this whole assembly together out first versus these two out first like we did on the front. I'm going to take those off now. They're 14 millimeter. So now that I've taken those two pins out, this comes apart. I'm going to set the caliper up there so it doesn't hang on the brake hose. Bring this guy down here. Now we can pull our pads out. And our clips as well. Pull them out. So for those of you that don't have a special tool like this at your home, I have a C-clamp here with this metal plate on it to hold it flush up against that, and we can slowly tighten it and it'll push the caliper back in. So this rubber grommet was inside of there, and I just took it out of my old rotor, and I'm just gonna pop it inside of my new rotor here. So I slid my brake pads into my caliper bracket, loosely bolted this bracket here on, and I'm about to take our caliper, slide it over, and put our two 14mm bolts back in after we take them and put some sort of grease on them. I'm using this Pure Nickel Special Anti-Seize on them before I put them back in, and they just slide right back into the boots here. And then you screw them in, but they screw into there. Let's go ahead and do it. Can't go in the hole. So I took our 19mm bolt that's here, but the one down below, this one, I took it out so we can swing this whole assembly up. Well, yes, up, so we can now get this bolt through there where it needs to go, and then we can slide all this back down and put our other bolt in right here, back in. So now that we got our rotor, back on, our caliper on, new pads on, now all that's left to do is the e-brake. So that gear inside of there, if you twist it, like, all right, so you want to use a flathead screwdriver and you want to put it in the hole, and when you're twisting it down, that's what that's doing, is taking your shoes and spreading them out and pushing them to the inside of this drum here. So I've tightened it all the way to where this rotor will not move. And I'm going to take my screwdriver and I'm just going to back it off about 3 clicks. So about 3 to 4 clicks off is what I did, and now it allows it to spin. Now we got the tire and lug nuts on the rear and the front, and that's it. Torque them to the lug nuts to 85 foot-pounds, and that's the brakes and rotors.